Hello, I'm Cole Powell, award-winning singer-songwriter from Random Mind Records. If you enjoy what you hear, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click the bell for notifications. Also, if you'd like the ability to help us choose what content to react to on the channel, as well as early access to reaction videos, consider supporting us on Patreon for $1 a month. The link's in the description. We also have $2 and $3 tiers that would give you access to exclusive content such as full-length album reactions, as well as full-length music-related television episode reactions. Alright, so we got a little bit different video today. For those of y'all who watch the channel regularly, you know I'm a huge John Fogerty, huge Creedence Clearwater Revival fan. And by the time this episode comes out, it will be somewhere around the 55th anniversary of CCR's eponymous debut album. And it's been a long time since I've sat down and listened to that record, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to sit down and listen to it on camera, offer some commentary and analysis along the way and after each track, and just see how it stacks up 55 years on. And now I'll shut up and we'll get to the music. It's right here. Excellent, excellent vocals from Fogerty here. Great instrumental break right there. Yeah, fantastic. And it's basically the perfect mesh of blues and rock. You know, rock is actually a descendant of blues. You know, rock and roll developed from blues, and then rock and roll kind of became just rock by the late 60s period. And now what Fogerty's done here, he's taken that blues sound and the rock sound and remarried them. And Fogerty had really just gotten where his vocals were at this level, sounded like this. He actually really had to work to get his voice to sound like this. This is not how he naturally sounds. And he used to record himself constantly and work on that to get the sound that he wanted. And he finally arrived there just in time for this record, for them to become CCR. And I can't remember who said, I think it was a critic of the period, contemporary to the band, that said if the Incredible Hulk could sing, he'd sound like John Fogerty. And I think that's the best analogy that you can find. And I have never heard anybody that can sound like him. Just about everybody else, with one or two exceptions, you can find somebody that can do an impersonation and say, oh man, they sound just like so-and-so, or they sound almost exactly like so-and-so. I have never heard anybody come close to being able to reproduce Fogerty's vocals. At least I've never found. If you out there know somebody who can sound like John Fogerty did in his peak, in his prime here in this run with CCR, let me know, because I'd love to be able to hear him. This is closer to what CCR is known for. You get in there, you say what you want to say, and get out. This is like a classic blues theme about the working man. He goes through all these. I love the line, I was born on a Sunday, by Thursday I had me a job. Great. He's channeling into that classic blues songwriting. But we know what Fogerty accomplished with his songwriting on just the next album, and it's just so much more mature than this song. great stuff. They took this oldie, I mean, it was an oldie even then, and again turned into this phenomenal blues rock song in the same vein that they did I Put a Spell on You. It made even a longer jam. And it's got this dark, there were a lot of dark rock songs from this period, this late 60s period. And this is, it's very much in the vein of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. It's got that same darkness, and there's a psychedelic element to it. Really, really great stuff. It's reminiscent of what he would go on to do with Little Richard's Good Golly Miss Molly. This record, I feel like, I think time may have kind of passed it by now, but this is the kind of record. It wasn't I mean, it was a hit at the time, but it's traditionally been considered one of their least, probably their least record outside Mardi Gras. And it wasn't particularly critically acclaimed at the time. And I just feel like there was a period of time, probably about like 8 years ago, when the Alabama Shakes were out, Black Keys were doing big business. If an act like that had come out with this record, they would have won, best blues record, maybe even best rock record at the Grammys. It would have been a huge hit, been a Billboard top 200 selling album. I mean, a top one on the Billboard 200 selling album. Whereas at the time when it was released, it was just, oh yeah, this is good. And now this blues rock hybrid throwback feel from that era is considered the best that indie music has to offer, and even some of the more mainstream acts. Yeah, great stuff. Again, we have just been straight up blues rock through the entire thing. We're going to change it up a little bit.
Put me up a fence. You can guess that I'll be running ever since. Ain't no one is found to help, but I'll keep on, I tell myself.
Great little lick right there. It kind of went out of the key for just a minute, came back in. You could tell it was definitely written to try to be that single, and it's capturing that 60s spirit, but there are just some elements to it that really don't lend itself to being a commercial hit. Not that you can't have a commercial hit without a strong hook. You can. Some of the elements, the I don't care, or whatever they're saying there in the background, really dates the song, really keeps it from having longevity, and since it wasn't a hit then, you can't even say, well, they had to have it then or it wouldn't have been a hit, because it wasn't a hit. But the best part about the song, Fogerty's songwriting, you finally get a glimpse of what he can do as a storyteller, what he can do as a songwriter when he's trying to craft a story that's not just in like The Working Man and Get Down Woman, where he's just talking about classic themes in blues about being a working man or about having trouble with your woman. In this one, he's talking about that his father was a terrible person. The character in the song's father was a terrible person, and he's talking about how basically everybody treats him poorly and holds him accountable for the sins of his father, and he's trying to get out of there. This is a place where he grew up, and he left, and he'll never come back again. He said in the song, "They took my dad away to serve some time, but it was me who paid the debt he left behind." Great songwriting, and that's really the first glimpse that we get that Fogerty just has some serious chops here. Double lead guitars.
Some people crying.
Singing smoother here, but then he says,
Some people talk without saying a thing, and everything comes
some people
out
talk without
blue.
saying a thing.
Some people
Again,
count your money.
this is better songwriting.
Someone is counting your days, and somebody got to keep track of your mind when everything hangs out blue, man.
I gotta say, this has been my favorite for a long time, but I haven't really thought of which track is the best in a long time. I probably would have said Susie Q up until I just re-listened to all these. And now, not only is that my favorite track, I'm going to say it's actually the best track on the record because it has all of the best elements of all the tracks on there. It's got a 60s feel, a dark 60s rock feel. It's got the blues rock vibe to it. But the lyrics, unlike Working Man and Get Down Woman, the lyrics are a little bit more elevated and they're dealing with more philosophical themes. And the way they're packaged, a little bit more elevated like Porterville was. And there's also something a little bit more uncategorizable, that it's like alternative, even though alternative wasn't a category at that time. And again, I hear, like this jazz feel to it. And then you have the big jams that you had with I Put a Spell on You and Susie Q. I think it's got the best of all worlds in this track.
With my home eye, and I swear I'll never leave my home again. I saw a man walking on the water.
I feel like this is the beginning of the hoodoo swamp mystique that Fogerty became known for.
Do not be afraid.
That's almost a Spanish flamenco feel to that. So that's the end of the record, and that track very much steeped in the 60s. You could hear that it's that dark rock, but then they mixed in some of the blues, but they had some of the more alternative elements like they had in Gloomy and in Porterville. What I'm calling alternative from our modern day perspective. It's kind of unquantifiable. You can't do this today and expect a hit, but this song, I didn't pay attention to the timestamp of where the lyrics actually ended, but it wasn't long into the song. Like, it's a 4.5 minute song, and the lyrics were ended like a minute in, and you just have 3.5 minutes plus of music, and you could release that as a B-side of a single and get away with it. Oh, for those days. And again, I talked about this is kind of the beginning of the swamp hoodoo mystique. Let's talk about an apparition appearing on the water, and it's dark and it's spooky. This was written by both John and Tom. I just wonder who wrote what specifically. I just wonder, and I don't know if that information is even available. The record as a whole, again, it was predominantly a blues rock affair. On side B, those last 3 tracks kind of got out of the mold a little bit and showed you a little bit what this band could be once they start getting outside of the blues and rock and roll cover, psychedelic cover motif with Porterville, with Gloomy, with Walk on the Water. I wouldn't say any song on here is as good as what Fogerty begins to deliver on the next album, Bayou Country, which had Proud Mary, Born on the Bayou, to the big ones off there. But you get a glimpse that this at least put them on the map. Susie Q in particular put them on the map. This album did fairly well. It got their foot in the door and paved the way for the sound and success that Fogerty was able to bring on their sophomore record, Bayou Country. And if you're watching this on Patreon, you just got through watch the full album reaction. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope to get some of this on YouTube, maybe as a clip show. If you want access to the full-length album breakdown, it's a reaction, but it's not a blind reaction, so I'll call it a breakdown, analysis, a re-reaction, if you will, revisiting. Consider subscribing on Patreon, and we'll see you soon.